Good evening and welcome to the 36th edition of SEC Live from yours truly, Jackson Johnson, as I am joined by once again Caleb Sailors from Super Talk, Mississippi. And this time we'll be talking about Trinidad Chambliss and the future that holds for him. What's next in the QB room for Ole Miss? What position battles to watch out for spring practice, and much, much more. And let me tell you something, folks, you're going to be in for a wild ride as we are getting ready for week 0 to come out already. How you doing tonight, good buddy?
Man, I can't complain. I'm glad to be here, brother.
Oh, same here, man. I'm glad to be talking with you once again about some Ole Miss Rebels. And, we'll go ahead and get started off with the ruling that happened with Trinidad Chambliss. Like, when you found out, okay, he's not going to be played 2026, what was the initial reaction?
Well, the battle's not over yet. So Ole Miss goes to court on Thursday. Well, not Ole Miss. Trinidad Chambliss' legal team goes to court on Thursday in Mississippi in a small town, Pittsboro, Mississippi, in Calhoun County, to pretty much get a preliminary injunction against the NCAA, preventing the NCAA from keeping Chambliss from competing at the collegiate ranks next year. So the NCAA denied Trinidad Chambliss after the Fiesta Bowl the day after. They said, nope, he's not eligible to play. Ole Miss appealed that decision. That appeal got upheld, or Ole Miss got overturned. The NCAA upheld its decision to deny Trinidad another year. But in that same time, so there's two separate things going on. Ole Miss and the NCAA right here, and that's where we have the most recent denial. Then we've got right here on this other side a legal battle that is yet to unfold. So Thursday morning at, I believe, 9:30, small town Pittsboro, Mississippi, in the middle of nowhere in Calhoun County, a judge will hold a hearing with the NCAA and with Trinidad Chambliss' team being able to go back and forth and plead the case.
And we got this post from Sam Hutchins, who you might have seen him and his brother at the 2025 March Madness game last year. But you'll be seeing him again tonight as you see this post from him about the new document housekeeping regarding the Trinidad Chambliss versus NCAA case.
Mm-hmm.
And Arkansas-based lawyer Tom Mars has been admitted pro hac vice by the court to represent Chambliss in the state of Mississippi in this case, as the hearing is Thursday.
And so what that means right there is Tom Mars has been representing Trinidad Chambliss the entire time. For those who don't know, Tom Mars is probably the most prominent attorney for college athletes, a lot of athletes in general. He's represented professional athletes as well, but he's been representing Trinidad Chambliss this entire time and has been kind of the legal representation, even going to the NCAA on Ole Miss's behalf, submitting documentation explaining as to why Trinidad should be able to play, why he should be granted a medical red shirt for the 2022 season where he didn't play. Well, when the case went to court in Mississippi, William Liston, who founded the Grove Collective, which is Ole Miss's NIL conglomerate, he was the lead attorney on the case that went to state court for Trinidad Chambliss. He's still representing Trinidad Chambliss, but what that means now is that Tom Mars is also permitted to be the attorney or an attorney representing Chambliss in court this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what'll happen, like if he will, if the ruling does say, oh, Chambliss is eligible to play for 2026. I do feel like happy days are definitely coming to Oxford.
Absolutely. Well, that's kind of what Ole Miss is banking on too. And look, Trinidad's been an integral part in Ole Miss bringing in, the number 2, number 3 transfer class when all things are considered in college football this offseason. He played an integral role in getting guys, like building on offensive talent, helping keep Kewan Lacey in Oxford, helping get defensive guys there too. He's been a vocal mouthpiece for Ole Miss off the field and saying, hey, let's rebuild it. Let's build Pete Golding's unit. Let's build his team. Let's build his roster. And let's roll again in 2026 and make a stab at it. And let's take care of unfinished business this time around. It's not like Trinidad Chambliss was, given a large sum of money and saying, okay, cool, if it works out, whatever. If not, I'll just go pro. It's like, no. I'm committed to this for the long haul. And I'm going to make sure this team is set up for success too. So that way, when we all come back in the fall of this year, we're going to be clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, and like especially if he's going against LSU in week 3, that'll be fun. That'll be fun right there.
Well, and that game being in Oxford too, man. We got to figure out who does Alabama play that week?
Florida State, and it's in Tuscaloosa.
I was going to say, man, if Alabama didn't have a big game or a notable game that day, which, I mean, there's going to be so many notable games now.
Well, Florida State sucks. No worries.
Well, it's still big in terms of the name and the brand. And I know Mike Norvell is going to be on his last leg trying to figure something out, even though doing it without Gus Malzahn, that'll be weird. But we got to get you to Oxford, man. That's an atmosphere that I think the earth might shake in Northeast Mississippi that day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because it's like that's on my bucket list. I'm hoping to go to Oxford for that one, and also just kind of like go to Starkville for Alabama, Mississippi State for my birth week at that time.
Oh, heck yeah. I won't be at that one. I'm getting married that day, so I won't be at that game.
Oh man, there you go. Oh, congratulations, man.
I appreciate it. Yeah, all my Mississippi State family and friends are mad at me. They're like, "Are you really getting married on a game day?" I'm like, you guys are going to get trounced by Bama. So what are you mad about?
Oh, man, that's funny, man.
I'm doing you a favor.
There you go. Oh, man. Sorry in advance, Andrew Miller.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm like, guys, look, y'all are going to get smacked by Bama anyway. Might as well save you some misery. Go watch something that's joyful and eat some good cake in the process.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like something joyful like Ohio State, Iowa.
Yeah. Wave at the children. Yeah, that's a cool place. I know we're getting way off into the weeds right here, but now Kinnick Stadium in Iowa, really, really cool place. The wave at the Children's Hospital, one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, but it's cool that I've gotten to go up there live and watch a game.
Oh, yeah. And Iowa's usually a dangerous place for top 25 teams and top 15, 10 teams. That's why I was like, if I'm doing a parlay, I will, and Iowa's played a top 10 team, I'm just going to go, okay,
Hammer.
put Iowa to beat the spread.
Yep.
Yeah, as double-digit underdog. It's like, oh, this game's called overtime. Nice.
Yep.
I win.
Yeah, Iowa plus 12.5, and it's going to a field goal in the 3 seconds left in the game. It's like, yeah, I win regardless. Absolute cinema, Iowa.
There you go. You have Martin Scorsese with that meme of absolute cinema, and Margot Robbie just sitting there at the movie theater watching it. From Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yep, and Cliff Booth being his cool self.
Yep, always.
There you go,
I think that was Brad Pitt's best role, honestly. Man. That one was incredible. Man, we've got in the weeds. It's awesome.
Well, it's the off season, and we've only got 200 days till kickoff for week 0, 205 days till Thursday night, week 1, 206 days till Friday night, week 1, 207 days till Alabama plays Ole Miss. Well, no, actually 208 days until Ole Miss kicks off with Louisville in Atlanta, Georgia, and 209 days until Labor Day.
That game it'll be in Nashville. It'll be at Nissan Stadium. I'm actually.
Oh yeah, that's right. My bad.
No, you're good. I'm looking forward to it. I've got a buddy that lives in Nashville, and he's a Southern Miss grad, and I'm like, dude, don't go to Hattiesburg that day. They're playing Alcorn State. Southern Miss is going to win. Come stay in Nashville. Let's all hang out. So a bunch of buddies of mine and I are going to get together the night before that game and hang out and have fun. But I can't have too much fun because I got to work that game.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what you gotta do. Like, just gotta get everything out your system before the season starts. Although there is no such thing as off season in the world of college football or NFL.
Nope.
Oof, man. But we have kind of like thought about the ruling if it doesn't rule in favor of Trinidad Chambliss. And of course, he's going to the 2026 draft. And that's good for him. Like, I kind of feel like he's in a win-win either way, where it's like if he plays, that's awesome. If he doesn't play, it's a win-win because of the fact that Dante Moore said, nope, I'm returned for 2026. And chances are, we're likely going to see Fernando Mendoza be a Raider.
Right.
And whoever that second best quarterback is, It's probably going to be Chambliss, to be honest. Like, I would not be surprised if it is. If it's not, well, he should be. Like, either him or Simpson is all right with me.
Right. And on the deal with Trinidad, too, of course, he wins staying at college because he's got an NIL deal at Ole Miss, a rev share deal of, close to $5 million, maybe a little bit more than that, probably closer to 6 than 5. But he'd be making a ton of money, more money than he would make in the NFL, more money than Tyler Shuck made for the Saints last year. But, if he does end up not getting the injunction, then, of course, he'll go pro and he'll get drafted. He'll be, right, like you said, top 3, top 4 quarterback taken off the board, especially with Dante Moore returning to Oregon. And Trinidad's in a really good spot. And I think Ole Miss, obviously, is in a tremendous spot if Trinidad Chambliss gets the injunction and is cleared to play in 2026. I mean, Ole Miss is cooking with peanut oil. I don't think Ole Miss is in a bad spot. Like, if he doesn't get the injunction, I'm not saying it's going to be sunshine and rainbows. I'm not saying things will just be completely blue skies and sunny all the time in Oxford if he doesn't get the injunction. But I do think Ole Miss has a good contingency plan in Deuce Knight. Deuce Knight was a highly ranked quarterback coming out of high school out of George County, Mississippi, small community. Ended up going to Auburn his first year. Was Hugh Freeze sold him and his family the snake oil, but they were big Derek Nix people as well. And he went to Auburn and had a really, really, really good game against Mercer, his only start of last year. 4 touchdowns, a gazillion yards, and was doing it in the air and on his feet. And a guy with a lot of upside too. So in the event that Chambliss doesn't get the injunction, I mean, Ole Miss has a backup plan in Deuce Knight, and it's not a bad one. It could be way worse than it is. I mean, look at Tennessee right now. Aguilar got the injunction, but if something were to happen and he's not cleared to play, where does Tennessee turn?
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss actually has its bases covered there. Would it be ideal? No, absolutely not. They're not looking at Deuce Knight as, hey, this is the guy that's going to lead us on, a championship run next year. But they're not looking at Deuce Knight as, oh shoot, I hope we can get to 6-6 next year. It'll be in the middle. Like, hey, this guy can lead us to 8 or 9 wins. I mean, it's possible. I'm not saying it's probable, but it's possible. And if Chambliss gets the injunction, which again, there's an optimism in Oxford, there's an optimism in Mississippi that the case that Ole Miss has presented, the case that Chambliss's legal team has presented is so good that it'd be hard for a judge to turn it down. So look, the case centers on 2022, where Trinidad Chambliss did not play a single snap. He didn't play because he was, according to his legal team, according to court filings, this is all public information now, and medical records, he was struggling with a battle with chronic tonsillitis, among other issues, some respiratory issues linked to COVID-19. Okay. And amid this battle, he didn't have any surgery. He could have had a surgery, the NCAA alleged, that would have allowed him to, I guess, heal quicker, recover quicker. But he didn't play at all in 2022. And at the end of that season, and in December, he checks in with his doctor, says he's doing better, he's okay. And so the NCAA kind of used that as manpower, firepower against Ole Miss, saying, okay, well, if he was okay in December, he was okay in October, which obviously is absurd. That's not the case. I mean, you've had the flu before. I've had the flu before. We've gotten sick. Yeah, you may have been sick on Wednesday, but just because you're perfectly fine on Friday doesn't mean you weren't sick on Wednesday. That's not how that works. That's kind of contradictory. Well, the NCAA was also like, well, how come they didn't seek this in 2022 when it happened? Well, I don't think Trinidad Chambliss was anticipating on being at Ole Miss 3 years later, leading Ole Miss to the Fiesta Bowl, and then getting an opportunity to play another year. A lot of those things, you look back and say, oh, wait. Oh, I should have another year of eligibility. Yeah. I'm going to get that. And that's not for the NCAA to determine when he tries to get that extra year. It's on the NCAA to determine whether or not it's justified. The NCAA's case said that Ole Miss did not submit enough evidence, did not submit sufficient evidence, that Ole Miss didn't really have the backing to do that. And Ole Miss is like, okay, well, we have Ferris State's coach, where Trinidad Chambliss came from. We have the guy that was over sports medicine at Ferris State. We have a licensed doctor that treated Trinidad. All three of them are saying he was medically ineligible to compete in 2022. He physically could not compete, couldn't practice, couldn't play, the whole kit and caboodle. He should be able to play another year. And Ole Miss, Trinidad's legal team has also added more information to the case. And Ole Miss has actually yesterday, Ole Miss reached out to the NCAA, asking the NCAA, hey, re-review your denial of the appeal. Re-review it. We've gotten this new evidence that you guys need to see, and you guys need to understand that there is plenty of reason why he should be able to play. And this unearthed evidence stems from a game that Trinidad Chambliss was playing for Ferris State against Valdosta State, another D2 program. And in that game, the announcers were talking about, oh, yeah, Chambliss didn't play in 2022. He medically redshirted. He had this ongoing battle with an illness, right? I'm kind of summarizing what was said and paraphrasing it, but that was the gist of it, right? They acknowledged a medical redshirt, acknowledged that he could not play at all in 2022. Well, if a broadcast team is mentioning that without this even, and of course they couldn't preemptively say, maybe one day he'll be in a battle with the NCAA over eligibility. This is years before this even started to unfold. A broadcast team highlighted it during the middle of a professional broadcast. And so Ole Miss is like, yeah, there you go. Tom Mars, Trinidad's attorney, is like, NCAA, look, they're admitting that he got a medical red shirt. Do the right thing. Give him another year. And I don't think that's going to be enough to move the needle for the NCAA. I don't think the NCAA is going to say, well, we weren't wrong after all. The NCAA is very stubborn when it's its own judge, jury, and executioner. The NCAA is very, very adamant on sticking to its guns and sticking with its decisions. But what I do think, though, is that the NCAA dragging this out to the point that it did, almost hampering Ole Miss's ability to get another quarterback in the portal, the NCAA playing kind of hardball with Ole Miss. What I do think it does for Ole Miss is it shows the judge, which the judge in the case, Judge Whitwell, is an Ole Miss grad. He played quarterback at Northeast Mississippi Community College, very sympathetic to quarterbacks, and went to Ole Miss. I think it'll show him that the NCAA has been operating in bad faith. The NCAA has not followed any of its normal statutory kind of obligations here. That's what Trinidad's legal team is saying. The NCAA is kind of contradicting itself. The NCAA is not putting the student athlete first. It's putting its own self-interest first and not the interest of the game itself. And at no point does Trinidad Chambliss being given an extra year hurt college athletics. Now, people reference the Charles Bediako case, which I know you're very familiar with Alabama. Apples and oranges. Bediako was gone. When did he last play basketball in Alabama before this?
2023.
2023, right? So he had 2 full seasons not playing basketball in Alabama, and he's playing professional. Trinidad Chambliss has not played a lick of professional football. He's not been away from Ole Miss with another team at any given point since signing with the Rebels. So it's not the same. And the thing is that he's played 2.5 years of college football. They'll say, well, he'll get a 6th year if he gets approved, but he's only played 2.5 years of college football. So his legal team is saying, yeah, he's trying just to get a 3rd year or a 4th.
If he doesn't get that 3rd year, then sounds to me there's a lot of chicanery going around behind the scenes.
Right. And this is the case too where where Greg Sankey has not weighed in on this case at all. He came in and with Bediako and said, no, the NCAA needs to uphold its decision, or the NCAA needs to stick to its guns, and the legal team, the judicial system, the judge needs to enforce the NCAA's rules. Greg Sankey has not come in at all on the Ole Miss. He has not weighed in on that at all because the case is completely different. I understand why Greg Sankey came in on Charles Bediako. I get it 100% because it's a bad look for college athletics when a professional athlete gets to play college ball. C.J. Bailey should not be allowed to play for UCLA or whoever he'd want to play for. He played actual NBA games, actual NBA minutes. Trinidad Chambliss, again, has not taken a snap. He hasn't taken a snap for the XFL or the NFL, much less. He's only been in college and he's only played 2.5 years of college ball. And so that's the Ole Miss case for him.
I've got an idea for the lawyers of Trinidad Chambliss's lawyers. Reference the Case Keenum situation from 2010. Because, for those that remember, he only played 1.5 games in the 2010 season. And he got hurt against UTEP on September 10th of 2010 on Friday night on ESPN.
Yep.
And Houston's like, okay, we need to figure out something, because if we don't have Keenum coming back, we're screwed. So he's our guy, and they're appealing to the NCAA. Look, guys, can we give Keenum an extra year? I don't know if there's anything in the rules, but there's got to be something where it's like he can have it because he didn't really play a full year. He didn't even play half season or 1/4 of the 2010 season.
Right.
And so he goes, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
At 2011, boom, magical season where it was like, yeah. Although in the preseason I had in the preseason of 2011 in those little magazines I had Houston going unbeaten, going to like a BCS bowl, but I was one game off. They lost in the Conference USA title game.
Yeah, lost to Southern Miss. Southern Miss to the top
on ABC and against Larry Fedora.
Larry Fedora with Austin Davis and DeAndre Brown and Kelvin Bolden. Look, I grew up a Southern Miss fan, so I was all over that year. I loved that Golden Eagle team that year, and I felt bad watching Case Keenum's wife crying on TV, but that Southern Miss team with Jamie Collins and Ronnie Thornton, those guys were nasty too. And Southern Miss honestly should have been on par with Houston that year, but had two awful losses, one of which was to UAB and Legion Field. And I was there that night in Legion Field. Yeah. I'm glad Protective Stadium was built. I'll tell you that much. The place is a lot nicer.
There you go, man. Yeah, because it's like I'm hoping the Chambliss lawyers watch a little bit, look back at some of the past, because it's a good job that they're doing. That they're like looking at. They're like, hey, it's not us saying it. You know, these guys said this guy, that guy, this guy, that guy said Chambliss has an extra year of eligibility. You know, he's got another year of eligibility. Like they said, 2 years of eligibility, 2 years of eligibility, and. Yeah, because it's like I want to see another year of Chambliss in college, like so bad. I want to see him get revenge on his old coach so bad.
Well, and now do you think that game in Oxford? I've watched Lane Kiffin. You've watched Lane Kiffin coach emotional games. How many times did Lane Kiffin beat Nick Saban as a head coach?
Oh man, not at all.
Never
seen him beat a Saban team.
And he had some of his teams, that 2022 Ole Miss team went down to the red zone and never gave the ball to Quinshon Judkins. He coaches those games emotionally. That 2023 Ole Miss team was more talented offensively than Alabama and had no business losing that game in Lane. He coached emotionally against Alabama, and it cost him against Nick Saban coached teams. He just could not fathom how to beat Nick Saban. It just messed with his mind to the degree that it was a detriment to the team. And I would not be shocked if we see that Lane Kiffin. He'll be locked in, but I think he'll be overly locked in to the point where it eats at him when he walks into Vaught Hemingway Stadium that day. And they might have to have the National Guard come to Oxford and restore order and make sure that nothing crazy happens. So that atmosphere is going to be intense.
Yeah, it'll be nuts for sure.
Tennessee was bad, but a lot of time had passed between him coaching at USC and being away and being at Florida Atlantic and being in Alabama and then going to Ole Miss and playing at Tennessee. I mean, a lot of time had passed from when he was fired from Tennessee to when he returned there as the Ole Miss head coach. I know the feelings were still strong, but they had kind of died down a little bit. Brother, This is fresh. And don't let Pete Golding beat him. Woo! Yeah.
Oh, man. I want to see Ole Miss, Alabama, and Tennessee beat LSU. Like, because I just want to see it because it's like you do not see me pull for Tennessee usually. Like, I'll only pull for Alabama to look good, but yeah. I just want to see it's kind of like an alliance of frenemies. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
It's like, hey, Russia, we're not a huge fan of you right now, but you're fighting Germany with us, so we'll be cool with each other forever.
But our Tennessee guys at the Voice College Football, they're awesome though. Particularly Tucker Harlan, Jordan Beakley. Yeah. They are go-to Tennessee analysts, all right here on the Voice College Football Network. But yeah, if the ruling is no, you're not getting an extra year, go ahead and make your plans for the 2026 draft. Because, like, I'm looking at the mock drafts, And I don't see him in any of it. Like I was like scrolling through them as we're talking, looking at NFL.com. It's like, how do you not have Chambliss? Like, oh, they must know something we don't. That's for sure. But in all seriousness, though, if it's ruled he's not playing, and we're seeing what's going to be happening with the NFL draft. Could we see Chambliss be drafted by, say, the Rams? And the reason why I say that, because like this is gonna sound weird, but the Rams got 2 first-round draft picks. They got their tail end, of course, but they've got one from the Falcons as well. But there's another team, the Jets. They've got their early draft pick in the top 5, but then there's one in the later end because they've got it from the Colts from trading Sauce Gardner. Oof. Like, oof. Or anybody else in the NFL. Don't put him at the Browns. Don't put him at the Browns.
I don't think Todd Monk and Browns would go that route anyway. They already have a young quarterback anyway, and 2 young quarterbacks, and Gabriel and Sanders. So I don't see the Browns going that route. But for Chambliss, if this were the year for him to go pro, it would be best for him to go be an understudy under another quarterback that's an aging commodity like a Stafford. That's a perfect opportunity for him. A situation like that. Chambliss is going to have to go somewhere where the coach is quarterback friendly and kind of he's a good quarterback. He's really good on his feet, good on the run. He sometimes throws better on the run than he does in the pocket. He's short. He doesn't have the best arm strength of a quarterback. I mean, I watched Jackson Dart flick it, 60 yards downfield. I watched Chad Kelly with his eyes closed and back turned to the goal, fling that thing 100 yards downfield. Oh, yeah. I mean, Trinidad doesn't do those things. But what he does do, though, is he plays mistake-free football, and that'll help. I just don't see him being a starter in the NFL at this point. I mean, now he can come back to college this year and just light it up and prove to be a guy that, wow, okay, he just was under the radar the whole time and something clicked for him. But I think he's a good role player. I think he'd be good behind a veteran quarterback and could come in red zone packages or short yardage situations, or could be a guy that, could end up getting a gig at some point with a quarterback getting hurt or whatnot. But he's a good quarterback with a high IQ, and I think that's going to help him. That's his upside. Some of his physical, stuff going on might play to his detriment at the professional level. But if this were the year for him to get drafted, though, you pointed it out best. Him go be behind a quarterback, he won't have a chance to start. He'll be behind a good quarterback in a good system where he could really, really learn and then end up maybe becoming that guy.
I mean, it worked.
You saw where that didn't work out for JJ McCarthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we don't want for Trinidad, we wouldn't want it to become a JJ McCarthy situation to where they move on from the quarterback that it goes on to win the Super Bowl, and then the whole fan base just hates you because you didn't do that.
Oh yeah. And it was understandable that they underestimated Sam Darnold because of like his track record at the Jets, honestly. But who doesn't have a bad track record at the Jets? It's like everybody and their mother and father and their grandparents and their great grandparents has a bad track record at the Jets.
Maybe except Joe Namath, but that's about it.
Oh man, like Joe Namath, man. It's like wait until you see the backstory of what he did the night before Super Bowl III on the Howard Stern show from July 2019 and promoting his book.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite stories.
That might be the one non-bad Jets track record. I mean, even Brett Favre had a bad track record with the Jets, but that's off-field related.
Yeah. Man, and like that season, like they had like a great start and a terrible end in 08.
Mm-hmm.
It's like just get rid of Woody Johnson. Buy like that. You know how they can recall governors and certain politicians in certain states? We should recall NFL owners, NBA owners, MLB and NHL owners.
Yeah, I bet Dallas would like to do that with Adelson with the Mavericks. I bet they would love to do that and get Mark Cuban back in there.
Exactly. I mean, because it's like I know where it's like I've given Mark Cuban a lot of crap, but his love for Luka Doncic was not one of them, and the trade for Doncic was not one. Because I mean, he was not majority owner. I mean,
No.
like Mary of Adelson decided, oh, let's trade Luka Doncic.
Well,
No.
that's political too. Adelson, my theory is she wants to tank the team to move it to Vegas. She wants a team in Vegas. That's where her and her husband built their empire. And so, of course, they'd want the team in Vegas. If it's not going to be in Tel Aviv, it's going to be in Vegas.
It's your
But,
own freaking team. That's what I say.
right. But I think I know Cuban's interested in becoming the majority shareholder for the Mavericks again, which would the team was a lot better in his hands because the owner actually cared. But you're right, though. They should be able to recall owners and stuff of teams. But I will say, though, transitioning back to Trinidad Chambliss, my opinion here, though, is I do think he's going to get the injunction. I think the Ole Miss case is a lot better than the NCAA's case. I think Tom Mars, again, that's a guy that just doesn't lose to the NCAA. His track record against the NCAA is practically flawless. And he's a guy that the NCAA might want to try to flex against and try to prove a point, but I don't think it's going to play out in the court of law. I do think the judge will be more sympathetic to the player, and I think the case that Trinidad has is a lot better, especially if there were plenty of acknowledgments, especially if an NCAA caseworker at one point said, yeah, you guys gave us sufficient evidence. This should be good. I mean, the NCAA led Ole Miss on to believe that Trinidad was going to get the waiver. If all those things are true, which I've heard all of these things, I've talked to people in that room at Ole Miss, in that Manning Center, all those things, if they're all true, the Chambliss case is way better than the NCAA's case, and it should be a no-brainer.
True. I mean, that's true. And it's like I hope he does win that case real soon, like this week. That would be nice right there. And I just keep thinking about like the Steelers could be another option. If he does get drafted, because I mean, it's like it feels like they hired Mike McCarthy. I still say that's dumb. Get McCarthy.
I do. I'm a Steelers fan, and I was not a fan of that hire.
No, because it's like that it's like you're afraid of Aaron Rodgers. Like, dude, he's 33, not 43. It's like let him go.
Yeah.
Like, let him go.
Yeah.
Focus on the rest of the decade. You're not gonna win 2026. And if you think you're not, it's just but he says he's likely returning, which I'm sure he's going to. Like, it's like he's going to return because, like, oh, Mike McCarthy's coming. Oh, I'm happy. Well, here's what you do: get Chambliss to sit behind Rodgers, and if Rodgers doesn't like it, well, too bad. Too bad.
He can get over it. Which I know Rodgers was unhappy with Jordan Love getting drafted, but the Packers have benefited from Jordan Love.
Oh yeah, and it was funny though, because in 2020 there was a big stink about it. A lot of people made a big stink about it, but it worked out just fine. And it was funny. Like that's how Rodgers got drafted. He was sitting behind Brett Favre.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's like, oh my God, that young man from Cal Berkeley. It's like, man, this is like before YouTube. Before YouTube.
I remember when all that played out.
Man, and now it's just oof. But the Steelers definitely need to think about it. The Steelers, the Jets, the Rams, they need to be watching this Trinidad Chambliss case. They need to be watching because if the ruling is nope, you're not returning for 2026 in college, get ready for the draft. They need to go ahead and make plans accordingly for 2027 because like when you're making your draft picks, you're not just drafting for 2026, 2027. You're basically drafting for 2030 and beyond.
Especially a quarterback.
Exactly. I mean, you're drafting for basically 15 plus years.
Oh yeah, like when the Chargers got Justin Herbert, they're thinking, okay, what kind of receivers are going to complement him? What kind of running game do we need to have? We need to start building our offensive line. What is that supporting cast going to look like? What is our money? How much are we paying Keenan Allen? What are we paying these other wide receivers? What contracts can we move off of? What will we need to move off of if Herbert's really good? I mean, there's a lot that goes into being a GM at the NFL ranks. Same applies to college now with NIL and with players getting paid. You know, Trinidad coming back to Ole Miss would cost Ole Miss a lot of money, but Ole Miss is willing to pay it because he gives Ole Miss the best chance to win at a high level next year. But Ole Miss also has to account for, okay, what's our supporting cast going to look like? What's running back situation, offensive line, got to get some more of those guys. Lost 2 tackles, got to build that unit. What's the defensive side of the ball going to look like so the offense doesn't have to carry the team, and so on and so forth. But you're 100% right there on, you know, decisions have to be made now. And NFL teams need to know, are we going to work this guy out? Are we going to talk to this guy? What's that? Are we going to interview him? What's that going to be like? And then Ole Miss needs to know, hey, do we have a quarterback or not?
Yeah. There you go. I mean, that's what you got to do.
But I think the fact that the NCAA has drugged this out to the point that we're doing this right now, we're shrugging our shoulders, I do believe that's going to lead the judge to say, look, the Ole Miss case is better. You're arguing in bad faith.
There you go. There you go. But like you said, for Ole Miss, if there's a quarterback situation, figure out if Chambliss is not ruled for 2026, Deuce Knight is your guy. Yep, he's the guy. And, you know, I do high school football in Mississippi. I co-host a school board show on Friday nights, and we have a good time, man, in statewide. And I remember when Deuce Knight was playing at George County, and I remember when he played in the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star game, which Mississippi hasn't won in forever. But I remember him playing with the flu. He didn't ride with the team to M.M. Roberts Stadium in Hattiesburg. He drove himself there because he was sick as a dog and almost won the game by himself for Team Mississippi. I mean, this guy he could play. He's a good quarterback. Now I think he's got some development and some learning, especially with a brand new offense and getting out of Hugh Freeze's system. So I think this year would best serve him as a learning year and then go into his junior year, or it'll be technically sophomore because he redshirted last year, but go into his third year really poised and polished. I think that's the best situation, kind of like with Austin Simmons last year coming in after Jackson Dart. But we saw how that all played out. But I do think that would be best fit for him. But if Chambliss doesn't get the injunction and Deuce Knight has to roll, I think Ole Miss will be comfortable with him running out there at quarterback. There you go. That'll be a huge win right there. And finally, to conclude this show, we will be going over the position battles to watch for as we get ready for spring practice. For those who have not done their homework on Ole Miss just yet, what are the position battles everybody needs to watch out for heading into spring ball? Yeah, a lot of it's going to be the guys that are returning for the most part, especially guys that played big minutes, a lot of snaps last year will, for the most part, have their spots locked up. I don't think there's going to be any huge controversies on that regard. I think the defense will be shaken up a little bit. I mean, Ole Miss processed several guys. Chris Graves went to Missouri. Ricky Fletcher went to California. Those were 2 corners that, you know, Ole Miss had to replace. So they got a guy, Sharif Denson from Florida, who I think they're really high on. Got another DB from Auburn, Crawford, and got a safety from Georgia, Aguero, that they're really high on. But I think Tommy Kinsler from Miami, and then there was another offensive line. He's an offensive lineman from Miami, and then Carius Kern from LSU. I think those guys are either going to fill the tackle spots or be put in. Kern will be a tackle. And I think the one from Miami, I think he will either be a tackle or move to guard, and they'll figure something else out at the tackle spot. So Ole Miss kind of has to revamp its offensive line there. But as for battles, though, we'll have to see who the 3 starting wide receivers are for Ole Miss and who's going to be starting at tight end, because Daquan Wright, decorated tight end at Ole Miss, is gone. He'll be getting drafted this year. Hopefully he gets drafted high. Daquan Wright was a really good asset for Ole Miss. Caleb Odom might be the guy that comes out as the starting tight end for Ole Miss. You know, Ole Miss has used him more as a tight end. You're very familiar with Caleb Odom from Alabama. Came in as a wide receiver, and they realized, okay, you're tall, you got a good frame, and if we could bulk you up, man, you'd be a really good tight end. Just learn how to block.
he might end up being the guy at tight end, the every down guy. I know Brady Prescorn, the brother of Caden Prescorn, who previously played at Ole Miss, has come in from Michigan, and I know they like him. Luke has a guy that was on the roster this year from Arkansas at tight end that didn't get a lot of traction because he was hurt. Did have a big touchdown in the Sugar Bowl, which was kind of cool. Another guy, again, he could end up being in the main rotation at tight end. So I think that's a battle where Ole Miss has some really good assets, and they'll kind of have to do some fine-tuning to see, all right, who is our guy at tight end? Who is it going to be? Caleb Odom? Is it going to be Luke Haas? Is it going to be Brady Prescorn? I think it would be Odom or Haas, but still. And then at edge rusher, Prince Wilumon-Mielen, who had signed a rev share deal with Ole Miss, ends up going to LSU after LSU just pays out the rev share money and pays him more money. Ole Miss has some guys, one of them that you're familiar with at edge, Jordan Renaud, that could be that guy. Jonathan Maldonado, who came in from Nevada, which I've watched some tape on him. He's got a lot of upside as an edge rusher. And then at linebacker, too, TJ Daugherty leaves, goes to LSU. And Ole Miss has to figure out, okay, Taj Chambers is graduated and Jaden Yates transferred to Houston. Who are going to be the linebackers? Well, they got Keaton Thomas from Baylor, who's got tremendous upside, a guy that the staff was really, really high on. And then a case that made national headlines and caused the Dabo Sweeney press conference, Luke Farrelly at linebacker. He is enrolled at Ole Miss. He is on the Ole Miss football roster. He's a linebacker at Ole Miss, and after enrolling at Clemson and then unenrolling, going to Ole Miss from California, it's a guy that they've zeroed in on as a potential difference maker at linebacker this year. So there's a lot of guys. There will be new faces in some kind of crucial positions at wide receiver. Ole Miss had to replace two of its three main guys. It'd be Deuce Alexander's back, but they'll have to rely on Darryl Gill from Syracuse and a couple other pieces to kind of supplement him there. But there wasn't a position Ole Miss didn't fill. Every roster need was filled by a guy that was playing Power 4 football or possibly G6 at the highest level. So wherever Ole Miss had a need, it was filled.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's going to happen. It can definitely happen. I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the battle of tight end. Like, that's going to be fun. Like, it'll be easier for whoever's quarterback in 2026.
Well, and I know Chambliss and Caleb Odom had pretty decent chemistry, too, on the field. I mean, there were moments. Caleb Odom had some big moments in some games, had some bad moments in some games, too. Had a bad moment in the Sugar Bowl, but he had some good moments, too. And I know that, he and Chambliss had started kind of developing more of a chemistry when he was on the field, had some good moments against Arkansas in Chambliss' first start. And so it'll be good to have continuity at those positions. I think that's where Ole Miss is really going to thrive. The interior offensive line's all back, so that group, run blocking will be an asset for Ole Miss, and obviously Kejuan Lacey being back is huge. And there's a cast of running backs behind him that are all capable of being guys too. And so, I mean, it's a revamped, a reloaded roster, and really it all hinges on, okay, does Ole Miss have its potentially championship, changing caliber quarterback back, or is Ole Miss going to have to roll the dice on a young, talented, but unproven commodity?
Well, there we go, man. It's going to be awesome seeing what's going to happen. And it's a shame. We don't know when the spring game's going to be yet. I mean, we'll know when it is, but I think I'm guessing it's going to be a minute. It's definitely after Easter. That I do know.
If they have one, because I know Lane Kiffin didn't hold one last year. Pete Golding is doing things differently. I would anticipate Ole Miss having a spring game this year, a spring game of sorts. I know Kiffin did the whole flag football and tug of war and not real and hot dog eating contest with Joey Chestnut thing 2 years ago and just decided not to do one at all last year. I imagine Pete will probably do one. Pete's just the ball coach. He kind of reminds me of a good old boy doesn't operate like a good old boy, but so I can imagine. But that'll give us some answers as to kind of where the staff is going with things.
Well, Pete Golden doesn't seem like somebody that's obsessed with being on social media all the time. That's for sure.
You're just going to see a shark. That's it. I mean, you remember his days in Alabama. All you saw was an elephant.
Yep.
That was it.
Yep. And that's what I look for a coach a coach is somebody that's not looking to be the attention seeker.
Not chronically online, doesn't make it all about him. Yeah. A guy that the Manning family is actually proud to embrace now. I mean, look, Jackson, the Mannings weren't at Ole Miss at all during the Lane Kiffin era, other than when Eli Manning got inducted into the Ole Miss Hall of Fame and had his number retired and they did the whole Manning end zone display. Other than that, the Mannings weren't active at Ole Miss. They were not around the program. And then Pete Golding gets announced as head coach, and right before the college football playoff, here comes Archie Manning talking to the team. Here comes Eli Manning on the field greeting Pete Golding. I mean, now the Manning family's in tune with this thing again. It just feels right in Oxford now. Look, I mean, Kiffin and his family earned the title of first family of Oxford for how well he did at Ole Miss. I mean, he ran a great program at Ole Miss results wise and won a lot of games. So it'd be disingenuous to say he didn't do a good job at Ole Miss. But I just think I've been around Oxford and Ole Miss my entire life, and being in Oxford with the Mannings there, seeing the Mannings active, it feels right. It really does. There's an air of pleasantry. It just feels nice and easy and beautiful and seamless when the Mannings are in Oxford and when they're being highlighted. And with them not there or not around, it just felt kind of weird and eerie. Though the team was doing really well and everybody's like, whatever, we're happy that Ole Miss is doing well. It's nice to see that those two things can be congruent. Ole Miss can be good and the Mannings can be involved with it.
Man, like I'm glad to see the Mannings back at it, man. Like, just being there at the Ole Miss games, like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they belong in Oxford. They belong around Ole Miss.
Oh yeah, and it's like it's fun seeing. I want to see Arch kind of relive like the good old days when he played college football. It's like just kind of hear him talk about the shootout with him and Scott Hunter on October 4th of 1969, and how he got revenge, and just like, and also just kind of like just have him talk about Ole Miss football from his day. It's like I want to see some story time with Arch. That's always fun. Man.
Yeah, he's great, a great storyteller.
Yeah, I'm excited. Oh man. Well, we're getting close to kickoff before we know it. And for those who don't know about the magic you're creating on Super Talk News discussing the Ole Miss Rebels, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on X at Caleb Sailors ST. You can find me at Super Talk News, supertalk.fm. That's our website. You'll see where I cover a myriad of things, not just college football, not just college athletics, but everything news related, politics, lifestyle, whatever, you name it. I'm on the scene in the state of Mississippi.
There you go. Tell your friends, your family, and the cashiers at Publix about the magic that Caleb brings, all right there on Super Talk News, discussing everything in the state of Mississippi. And of course, you can check me out on Jackson Johnson 979, where I'm 269 subs away from the magic number 1,000, and I am 2 more episodes away from reaching episode 100. And you'll definitely be the first to know to see who's coming on there, of course. And of course, you can check me out on Alabama with the Voice of College Football, where I star with Trevion Ware and Jeffrey Only Talk Sports. And of course, we've got the call-in show for the Alabama channel as Jeffrey and I take your calls on the Crimson Tide Thursdays at 9 p.m. Central Time. And of course, you'll see me back here on SEC at the Voice of College Football with Tucker Harlan and Andrew Miller, as we will be joined by Caleb Gerard. That's going to be a fun one all right there. And for more updates, what we've got going on, the Jacksonian and Alabama at the Voice of College Football, or SEC at the Voice of College Football, or on the Voice of College Football website, check me out on Jacksonville CFB, on @/Twitter, and on Instagram threads, Jackson5433908. And with that being said, like, comment, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you never miss no video whatsoever. And we'll be seeing y'all soon, especially tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Central Time. Take care, everybody.